Kia ora te whānau, ko Aorangi te maunga, ko Tūranga Nui te awa, ko Takitimu te waka, ko Ngāti Kahununu ki Wararapa, Nai Tahu, Ngāti Porou ngā iwi, ko Ngāti Hene waka te hapu, no Paitamokai ahau, ko Sargent tōku whānau, ko Makere tōku ingoa. Kia ora everyone, my name is Makere and I am one of the PlunketLine nurses. I have done a few of these Facebook Lives now, so you might have seen my face a couple of times. Today we are joined by Katrina, who is going to introduce herself, and we are going to be talking about all things Christmas and stressful times and some strategies on how to work through that. So it's keep calm and Christmas on, whānau. That's the theme. So yeah, I'll just let Katrina introduce herself.
Yeah, ngā mihi mahana kia koutou katoa. Welcome to this kōrero today. Ko waio, who am I? Ko remutaka tōku maunga, ko whakatiki tōku awa, ko arora tōku waka, ko Kotarani or Scottish tōku iwi, ko Katrina Coleman tōku ingoa no Arongamai Ahau. I am a national educator for Whanau Whina Plunket. I have been a Plunket nurse in the district and I am a current doctoral student. And interestingly, my one facet of my research was looking at the stress of mama. So I feel like I hope that you guys find this really beneficial. I hope I have some insights that are useful. I'm also a mindfulness facilitator, so we might have some time to do some mindfulness practice at the end of this tonight. So it's really good to be here. Thanks for having me.
Oh, that's awesome. So today we're going to be discussing a few things. Like I said, it's going to be about Christmas time and stress. So some of the things we're going to be bringing up would be when to find the time to prepare, event organisation, gift prep, dealing with your kids at Christmas, and just some family stresses and effective ways to communicate, ask for help, and setting boundaries. So to get us started, we're going to talk about how can whānau find the time to prepare for the holidays.
I think it's a tricky thing because I think that holidays and traditions, particularly around Christmas, are deeply personal. You know, some people have these really long-standing traditions that are really, really important to them. And others, they might be creating brand new traditions and experiences for their whānau. So I think it's deeply personal. But what I think is really important is that you and whoever you're planning to enjoy this holiday season with, that you create opportunities to communicate about what is important to you for this time of year. I think the only time that Christmas will truly be a disappointment is if your expectations and the expectations of whānau are not met. So if we can communicate what it is we're really wanting to get out of not only the day, but this whole season around what's important to us, I think that's going to be incredibly helpful. Another thing that is really useful and really challenging for a lot of us, you know, like type A personality mama like myself, who is used to just doing it all and trying to do it with style, is to delegate. I think it's really important, particularly if you have young pepe or if you've added to your whānau this year, to recognize that actually what you may have been able to achieve or to create in the past, it just may not be realistic this year. And even for me this year, my children are 6 and 8. And even this year, I've been really, really intentional about thinking I actually can't do it all. You know, for example, tonight, my youngest had swimming lessons, my eldest had gymnastics, and I was coming on to talk to you beautiful people. And I thought, you know what? Actually, I can't do it all. I'm just going to have to give swimming a miss this week. And actually, that's okay. And learning to be okay about that in yourself, that we can't do it all at this time of year. And we can try and we can strive, but if you imagine that we have this much capacity, if we're choosing to prioritize trying to fit everything in, then how much is left for the stuff that's actually really important to us and to our whānau? So perhaps picking a handful of things, talking to your partner or to whoever you live with at home and saying, hey, these are the things that I really want to do this year. You know, I really do want to do taking the kids to a Christmas carols service, or I really want to make sure we get a Santa photo this year, or I really want to make sure we spend some time with the grandparents before Christmas Day, you know. So whatever it might be, whatever is important to you, communicate that with people in your whānau so that you can like intentionally map it out, and then you won't get sort of pulled into this thoroughfare of stress and busyness and constantness. Because I think unless we're really intentional about mapping it out, you know, writing down exactly what it is that we're wanting to do, when that is, what we need to bring, anything else that might be important for the day, whether the kids get dressed up or whether you need to take a plate or whatever it might be. If we map it out really clearly, it's also a really good strategy to look and go, whoa, I've got too much stuff on, and what are the sorts of things that I can give away or that actually aren't as important to me? So I think those are the most important things, that as long as you've got really good communication around what you're hoping to get out of this season, and you are intentional about mapping out how you can achieve those things, I think you can't go wrong.
Yeah, I like that, kōrero. Also, like, I think, you know, when we bring in our village to support us, you are letting your village be a part of that experience with your, you know, your tamariki and yourself as well. You know, grandparents coming in and helping get the kids ready for the photos or something like that. So it brings in that whole community and whānau thing, you know, your village, to help you, and can set forward new traditions in that too.
Totally. And as someone who I'm, you know, part of the village for others, being drawn on, being asked to help and support at this time of year is actually really precious. You know, like if my sister says to me, hey, she's got much younger tamariki than I do. Hey, I'm trying to get the girls ready for their daycare Christmas party, but you know, it's a bit chaotic and I've got to do the baking for it. And can you come and watch the girls while I do that? I'm like, yes, I so want to be a part of this. I so want to support you at this time of year. So being vocal about how others can support you and participate in this season is actually, it's mutually beneficial. Yeah,
Definitely. Cool. And I also think, like, when you are going to delegate, just being sure that, you know, you're being very clear to who you're going to delegate that to. So, you know, Dad knows that he's going to be getting the kids ready for this thing here while you're going to be doing this. So it's not just, you know, up in the air and he's going, oh, was I supposed to do that?
Yeah, absolutely. And sometimes the odd reminder text is useful.
Cool. Awesome. What else did we have? So what advice would you have around event organizations for those, you know, for those hosting? Do you have any kind of, I know you just talked about the communication and, you know, delegating roles in that, but do you have any other kind of ideas in that, or strategies in that for hosting in that?
Absolutely. I mean, if you are brave enough to take on hosting when you have little ones at home, I think the key thing is to keep your expectations really realistic. You know, you might not be able to have everything looking as perfect, you know, or as magical as you might have hoped. You might not be able to get as much done before your guests arrived as you might have hoped. And that's okay. I think that's a really big part of it, is just learning to be okay with the fact that your capacity has changed, and it's supposed to change. You know, I think back to pre-children, if I tried to create a Christmas that looked like that, to be able to achieve that, I could do that. But to be able to achieve that, that would mean I would have to be intentional about not spending as much time with my tamariki, or having other people look after them so that I could focus on. And don't get me wrong, that's totally fine. If that's what your priority is for the day, if that's what's important to you and fills your cup, absolutely do that. But it's about being intentional about how you utilize your time best. So yeah, having clear expectations around the day, being really clear about what the roles are, like you said, Makere, knowing what your role is, trying to select a role perhaps that you can do in advance. Like, again, even though my kids are a
Yeah.
little bit older, life is still hectic. And I said this year, oh, look, I'll do the ham because I know I can do that a couple of days in advance.
Yeah.
And it's not going to be a mad rush stress fest on Christmas morning when actually I want to be with my kids, enjoying the morning and, you know, watching them enjoying Christmas. So, being really clear about what role you have, whether you can create that in advance, whatever that might be, or contribute in advance. I think it's also really important that we're mindful of mama who are hapu, mama who are breastfeeding on Christmas, and that we're really thoughtful about how we're supporting them. Often Christmas is stinking hot. And it can be really tiring for all of us, mama, but particularly mama who are breastfeeding and who are hapu. So making sure that there are quiet spaces where they can rest and have some reprieve. Mapping out where the kids are going to sleep. You know, if your kids are still having day sleeps, if your pepe are having day sleeps, which, my gosh, on Christmas Day, I hope they will be, where are they going to sleep, and how are we going to keep that a safe sleep? The last thing we want is to not have made a plan around safe sleep and baby ends up sleeping in a car seat, which we know is not recommended as far as maintaining a nice, flat and stable airway, or sleeping on the middle of an adult's bed or something like that, which is not always ideal. So being intentional about thinking, oh, we'll bring the Moses basket with us, or we'll bring that flat base bassinet that goes in the buggy with us, so that you've got a safe place designated for where Pepe can sleep. And perhaps, you know, if your baby prefers to be in a quiet space, thinking about where that might be, or away from other tamariki, that sort of thing. So just mapping out how it might look can be really useful. Thinking about what you wear, making sure you're comfortable, making sure if you're breastfeeding or expressing during that day that you have easy access. I remember being caught out at a work do once and wearing a dress that I thought was just so beautiful, but by the end of the night, my boobs were so rock hard and I just needed to go and hand express to let off some milk. And it was the biggest mission in a bathroom stall trying to do that. So thinking about what you're going to wear, think about the weather so that you can dress to be comfortable and you can that you can make it work for you, you know, wearing shoes that are comfortable. You don't have to wear the 4-inch heels on Christmas Day, or if that's important to you, totally wear them, but bring your slippers or your slides to pop on too. And if there are opportunities, taking some intentional breaks or timeouts, you know, during the day to rest, to put your feet up, to make sure you're hydrating and having plenty of fluid is really, really important, alongside all of that lovely Christmas food that we get to indulge in. So, yeah, again, it's just that forward planning and being intentional about that. I think that will be the key.
Yeah. I think we're pretty good at that at Mama too, aren't we? Just
having
at 1,000 things in our head at the same time, and
absolutely. And so my challenge then would be to put it down on paper or make a list in your phone, so that because it's often not until we see it written down or see it typed out that we go, whoa, that's way too much, or how am I going to do this if I'm supposed to be doing this at the same time? Like, that's not going to work. So often just having it in front of you is a really useful thing. And also it means that other people can see and go, so this is my job and this is,
Yeah. I was going to say that's kind of what we do when we get ready for Christmas. You know, I've got a big whānau, so I've got 6 kids, and then I'm normally the hostess. I have been for years and years because I'm that person. I love drama and I love people being around me, I should say. So that's what we do. We put a big thing down and we delegate. You're going to do this. You're going to do that. You're really good at doing seafood. I love your power fritters, Dad. So you're bringing the power fritters. Mum, you've got beautiful flowers in your garden. So can you get me the flowers so we can put them on the table? So writing it down and just being able to kind of see it all there, knowing what people are good at and delegating it.
Perfect. Yeah. That sounds awesome.
It's a very crazy day some days. Christmas Day is very crazy. So I guess the other thing, you know, there's hosting. there's also the present. So, that can be a really big stress, especially, we've got a lot of things going on in the economy these days, and it's a big stress. So what kind of advice would you have for whānau around Christmas presents and what stress that may bring for them?
Yeah, I think particularly if this is your first year with Pepe, or with a Pepe, I think again it's about thinking about how things were before and recognizing that your capacity, your financial capacity, your capacity to be really personal, investing huge amounts of time and energy into gift giving, it may not be the same now. You're most likely to be in a reduced income space at the moment, whether you're on maternity leave, whether your maternity leave is over and you have a single income, or you may be receiving a benefit. So I think it's really important to not get sucked into this belief system that's been created that we have to be providing really big, expensive gifts to our own tamariki, but also to our whānau and friends and daycare teachers and school teachers and gymnastics coaches and swimming coaches.
Yeah.
And, it's really easy to feel like, particularly I think with the impact of social media, we see all of these beautiful gifts that people are making and buying and creating for others, and it can make us feel really inadequate.
Yeah.
I also want to remind us, this is quite old school research that was undertaken, but about love languages. So gifts, receiving gifts, that's not actually everyone's love language. And so I encourage you to think about the people in your whānau. You can do the quiz with your partner online to find out what your love language is. It's so fascinating, and it often does change after you have your tamariki. So find out what their love language is, and then be intentional about creating space or opportunities or gifts that meet that need. So let's just say I went out and I spent all of this money on this amazing gift that I wanted to get my husband. And I thought, this is going to mean so much to him. He's going to love this, and he's been wanting this for years, and blah, 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 blah. But actually, one of his love language, was quality time. And I was so busy investing all of my time and energy into curating this perfect Christmas that I'd neglected the quality time part. His needs wouldn't be being met. And so that's sort of my other challenge, just to keep in the back of your mind, to think about your tamariki. Both of mine love receiving gifts, but actually quality time is both of their love language. And so if I curate this perfect Christmas that in my mind, I think this is going to create the best memories, this is going to be so special for them, actually, I would be neglecting what is most important to them. So have a look online about the 5 languages of love, because it's a fun way to think about how we prioritize our time and our energy and our resources at this time of year. But let's talk about presents, because there's just no way of getting around it. Budgeting. So budgeting is really important when it comes to gifts, and not just when you're on maternity leave, all the time, because it's so easy to get carried away, to think, I just need to pop into Kmart to get, one or more little things. And then you come out with a trolley full of stuff and you think, oh my gosh, I so couldn't have done that. How have I done, right? How have I done this? And I'm going to be in so much trouble. and actually, we only had that much money to start with. So what's going to have to miss out now because I've gone overboard with the gifts. So again, love a list, write a list.
Yeah.
Write a list about who it's essential to buy gifts for, because there are people that you might feel that it's essential to buy them for. Who actually, this year I decided personally again, my kids had the opportunity to make beautiful gift cards at school. So it was a piece of their artwork, and then they made them in the gift cards. So instead of going to, like previous years, I've made bath bombs for teachers and coaches, and we've made chocolates and Christmas. And this year I was like, I'm not going to do that this year. That always frazzles me. So this year, the girls just wrote individual cards with their beautiful artwork on the front for each of their coaches and teachers and things. And actually, I think that means just as much,
Yeah.
So yeah, thinking creatively about things you can make, things that you have that aren't necessarily gifts that you purchase from a store as well. So it can be things like beautiful cards, your kids doing pictures. Oh my gosh, it's got to be one of the best advantages of having kids is they make beautiful things and then you can gift them to people. And whānau love the creations that our tamariki make. And if you're anything like me, you're getting them sent home in stacks about this high at the moment. So, frame them up or, zhuzh them up however you like, get them to sign it with a handprint or their name and then gift them on, because actually those things are so precious. Like you said, Makere, about your mum with her puti puti, the flowers in the garden. Oh my gosh, there is nothing I love more than receiving flowers from people. And there are so many people like that. Or lemons, if you have lemons on your tree, gifting a bag of lemons. So we don't necessarily have to be giving paid for gifts from a shop either. So just thinking creatively about you can make vouchers. So it could be, hey, this is a babysitting voucher and I will babysit your kids so you and your partner can have a date night one night in the future. Or it could be, this is a voucher for a meal to come and have a meal at our place at some time next year. So be creative about thinking about what is actually going to meet people's needs at this stage of life and at this time of year. You can do things like doing Secret Santa, really useful if you're wanting to reduce the expenditure and the excess of this time of year. Environmentally, it's not great when we're gifting a lot of low quality stuff, which is often what we end up having to buy when we're buying so much. However, if you do something like Secret Santa, where, all the people that are going to be there on Christmas Day get allocated a name, there's even apps that you can do it on now, so nobody knows anyone else got.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. Elfster is one of them that we've used. And it's a really great way. You can nominate an amount, and often it means that you get something, significant and meaningful, as opposed to lots of little bits, which when life is busy and chaotic at this stage of life, which it so is, I don't need more stuff. I actually am trying to streamline my life to have less stuff. So and a lot of people are like that. So thinking about that with your tamariki too, if you have whānau that are saying, hey, what can we get baby? What can we get our moko? Thinking about the things that are coming up that they actually need, as well as just nice to have stuff. So it might be, hey, do you know, it'd be amazing if you could go halves with me in the swimming lessons for next term. Or it could be, hey, I'd love to we could take baby to the zoo at this, could we get a zoo voucher? So thinking about stuff that you're really wanting for your kids or really needing. It could be a car seat upgrade. They're ready for the next size. It could be a helmet if you're giving them a scooter. So, just being really thoughtful rather than people just going out and buying more stuff that we don't really need, being really intentional about, hey, if you haven't got, I actually just sent a message to my sister tonight. Did you end up getting my kids anything yet? Because I was thinking, actually, they could really do with some summer jammies, and I think being someone who is the purchaser, it's actually really nice to know what's actually going to be useful, rather than, oh, you got another one of those. Oh, cool. That's great. More Play-Doh. Oh, my God. Yeah.
One year, me and my sister-in-laws and my mother-in-law, we decided to do handmade Christmas. Oh. So I think we were really obsessed with, she used to watch that, I think it's like Kirsten Alley. She's the British, and she did homemade Christmas. So we gave ourselves enough time. I think we decided around October, November. I can't remember.
Wow.
So, and we did. We all gave each other big whānau baskets of all these homemade, I remember buying cheap bottles and grabbing crayons and mounting them down so they were candle holders, and making fudge and biscuits, and and we were all involved too. So it was kind of you didn't have to feel a little bit whakamā about giving something that's homemade or something like that. So it was all of our choice together. I think we only did that one year, but that was a pretty fun year.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. And when you said whakama or shy, that reminded me, sometimes we think, oh gosh, are they expecting, like our antenatal group, are they expecting gifts from us? Are they expecting everyone to buy gifts for every baby? And I think we need to be vocal about,
Yeah,
hey, we won't do presents this year, okay? Or hey, let's not buy anything for the kids. We'll just catch up and go out for coffee sometime in the new year once things settle down. Or but be vocal about who you are buying gifts for. So, oh yeah, I'll just buy, I'm just keen to buy just the tamariki gifts this year, so that, you know, your aunties and your cousins or whoever might not be expecting gifts. And then it takes that off them too. They think, oh, thank gosh, you know, less people to have to buy for. I mean, by
yeah,
all means, if you're in the position, or if gift giving is super, super important to you, again, be intentional about it, budget, map it out. So you're thinking, right, this is what I'm going to give for these people. And so that there's no big financial burden at the end of the year. We really, I mean, I know this is hard, but we really shouldn't be going into debt. You know, we
yeah,
shouldn't be going into a lot of debt at
yeah,
Christmas time. I think if we're going into debt, it's an indication that we're overdoing it. And
yeah,
actually, we need to rein it back and to think more purposefully and intentionally about how we could do things more affordably. Because
yeah,
the last thing we want to do is go into a new year carrying a lot of debt from the previous year.
yeah. What about whānau who may be really struggling financially? What kind of advice would you have for them for presents and things?
I think, again, it's just about that communication. So saying, you know, to whoever they're spending their Christmas season with, hey, this year's a really tight year for us. We don't have a lot of extra leftover money, and what we do have, we've decided we're going to spend. The kids need this, or we're going to have a special day out. I have a friend a close friend, and they have 7 children. And she said to me, so not unlike yourself, Makere, she said to me, what we do instead is we take all the kids out for a day, like a day special activity. So it might be bowling or to a movie, or, you know, something that's not normally realistic for their family, having such a big family. And so they know that big day, that's their Christmas celebration instead of receiving gifts. So, and that's okay too, you know, and just communicating that to our tamariki, who are old enough, obviously, to understand.
Yeah,
We're going to, instead of getting lots of little things, because we've already got heaps of stuff, what we're going to do is we're going to have this magical day together, and it's going to be super special, you know. And kids will get it. They'll understand.
yeah. I think also there's like looking to the community as well. I know there's a lot of
Yes.
Facebook gifter pages and stuff like that. Also a lot of iwi providers in there. They will have a lot of social services and stuff like that that will be able to link you into kind of community. You know, big. I know here in the Wairarapa we have Pick the Bus, which is in all of the schools throughout the Wairarapa. They all give presents, and then so at the end, before Christmas, all the social services will get together, and all of their clients that they have on their books, they will go in and grab presents for all their tamariki in that. So
Awesome.
yeah, and I'm pretty sure there'll be
There's a lot of
initiatives like
charities.
that. Yeah.
Absolutely. There are a lot of charities that are set up that are specifically wanting to be able to make contact with whānau who need it at this time of year. Thinking about, you know, the food bank as well. So making sure that your whānau have something special to eat. If food is an issue, accessing the food bank for Christmas may be really a great resource. But if you're struggling to navigate the services and who to ask, you could go to Work and Income and ask them. You could call PlunketLine, and they can help you find out who is available in your local community that may be able to help you. But again, I think if you have others in your whānau who are asking about maybe what to get your tamariki or what to get your whānau for Christmas, again, saying really practical things. Hey, something like a grocery voucher would be awesome. because that means that we can have something really special on Christmas Day. Or hey, some fuel vouchers would be fantastic. Because actually, if the whānau is happy and functioning well, the kids are going to be happy. You know, they don't need a lot of stuff. They really don't. They just want your time. They want your time and your attention and your aroha.
And I think the good thing about gifts like that too is that means, oh, cool, I might have a little bit of extra money because I've put aside $250 or something like that for our Christmas dinner. But now, since we've got this beautiful hamper from somebody, from whānau, all of this beautiful kai, I've got $250 where I could get this or that, you know, so it's...
Totally. Yeah, that sounds really, really good. And I think as well, I'm a massive shopper of pre-loved items. And I do that for Christmas and for birthdays and for, any time really. And I'm quite shameless about it. I think ever since it's become environmentally cool to use secondhand things and to purchase secondhand, I'm really open about saying, oh my gosh, and I got the secondhand at this amazing price, so looking on Marketplace as well, see what's out there, look in the op shops, see what's available, because actually there's a huge amount that people purchase and pass on. To not underestimate what might be available secondhand as well.
And making things too. My hubby's a builder, so I really wanted a mud kitchen for our sonnies too. And
cool.
I looked online and they're so expensive. So I was like, honey, can you please make us a mud kitchen? So
that is cool. I think having a builder in the whānau is perfect at this time of year. My dad, he is a bit of a jack of all trades, and he's building our girls' Christmas present this year. I can't say what it is because they might still be awake, but he's building it this year. And again, it's one of those things that would have been so expensive and really difficult to get online, but he's whipping it up. And I mean, I have no idea how it's going to go, but I'm sure it'll be great. And the kids will love it because they'll know that he made it for them and he put that effort in. So making things. I love that. Awesome.
Cool. Was there anything else that you could think of about gift giving? And I think we talked a bit about it, but anything you feel like you might want to add?
I think one of the other things that's popped up in recent years, and it's probably being compounded with the use of our older kids engaging in social media and things like that, like messenger kids and stuff, is about managing expectations and Santa. So I'm talking specifically about, Santa got me an Xbox and a new bike. How come he only got you this, and this, And so just be really aware. Everyone will have different ideals and values and approaches to how we navigate the Santa convo in our households. I personally have never said from Santa on any of the gifts. I just sort of leave it to being open to interpretation from the kids. However, I think that they assume that the Santa sack or the Christmas stocking is from Santa. And so I'm intentional about ensuring those items are smaller. So that there's not a lot of room for comparison, but also so that whānau get the credit, for the special gifts that they've purchased and that they've made and that they've, So, just be really mindful that our older kids particularly are talking, and it might be worth having a conversation with them around, like, just prefacing that, preparing just in case that kōrero is happening.
Yeah, it just reminded me about teenagers too. I think another hard thing with teenagers, especially if they're really hard to buy for. Like they want the labels. They want a lot of the really big items. They want the iPads and the phones and the really expensive stuff. So what kind of advice would you have for whānau around navigating that? Would you have any or...
Yeah, it's tricky. For some things that are potentially less expensive, like I have a nephew who loves labels, a preteen, and so last year I went online and I bought him I can't even remember what brand it is now because they change so quickly, whatever it's called. this year I'm hearing a lot of kids talking about White Fox. I'm like, oh, White Fox must be cool.
Yeah.
But anyway,
I think it's the other label. Was
yeah. So I bought him a secondhand jersey, but it still had the tags on. Someone had bought it brand new and it was the wrong size. It was the wrong fit for their child. So I had this beautiful, brand new, really expensive label jersey at a markedly reduced cost. And that worked really well. Otherwise, you could do something creative, like print an image off of what it is that they're wanting, a cell phone or a iPad or something like that, and then give them cash towards it. And then and say, hey, I know this is not everything that you need to be able to get this, but this is how we can start working towards it. And for our older teenagers, what great incentive to get into some paid work. So
I was just going to say that, so we've done that with our teenagers. We've said, this is what it is. Mm-hmm. If you want the bigger gifts, we're happy to put towards it, and then you can put towards it, and we'll meet halfway. So I think sometimes just having a bit of a conversation with your older kids about it and stuff beforehand. And my kids have been all right about it. They're okay. They're all good, I hope.
Yeah. I think our kids are mostly realistic unless we set them up to fail.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is if we are constantly stretching beyond our means to be able to provide our kids the coolest stuff or the stuff that's really, like on trend at the time, and it's beyond what we can afford, they will develop an expectation that this is just normal. Like I ask for what I want and I can get it. So I think, just being really aware not to fall into that trap of thinking that kids need everything they think they need.
Yeah.
That actually they will still love you. And you're teaching them a really valuable life lesson, because we want our kids to grow up and realize that there are times where we just can't have it. And that's okay. We don't have to, lay by it, or what's the other one called? Not lay by, that everyone uses.
Afterpay
it, or we want to teach our kids really good lessons around budgeting and spending, that like, hey, I know this is awesome, but actually we just can't afford that this year. And if we do want to get that next year, these are the things we might need to do so that can happen. So set them up for success, because you're setting the example about spending at Christmas. You're setting the example. I had a girlfriend who said to me, she was telling me what she was getting her tamariki for Christmas. And I was thinking, and I was like, oh my gosh. And I said to her, hey, that's a lot. Like, that's a lot of stuff. And she was saying, yeah, I feel like I need some more. And I was like, no, I feel like that's already a lot. Like, you've spent a lot on some pretty significant items. And she said, yeah, but when I was a kid, my parents just went all out and just got us everything. And we just had these big, epic Christmases. And I feel like I need to do that for my kids.
Yeah.
And I thought about that at the time and thought, yeah, but that's a tricky trap to fall into, because it's setting an expectation around spending and around gifts and things that, it may be affordable and it may not be for you. So just be really aware about how much you're investing into your Christmas. Yeah.
I think one other thing I just was going to say before we go on to the next thing is, if you have teenagers or children that are really into like games and that, and you've made the decision that you're not going to buy those things, or those aren't your big priority this year, what we've done, because we're trying to get away from that, it's one of our goals this year, is to get off social media and connect.
Awesome.
So I've made a very intentional, I don't think any of my kids are going to be listening to this, so I can talk about the Christmas a little bit, hopefully. So we've made a very intentional decision in our Christmas present buying. So we've gone out and we've brought a lot of games, so outdoor games. We brought some game called Cub or something. My son.
Oh, fun! I love Cub.
Yeah. Oh, so he's going to show us how to play it, so that we can all play together. We brought games for the little kids. We brought charades. We brought Trivia Pursuit. We brought all these games for the kids. So if we're going to be taking away something that means a lot for them, their friends and all the social media and that, we're going to put something in place so they're not feeling like they're missing out. So it's going to be family time. It's going to be connectedness with all of us to kind of make up for that sense that they might feel, oh, I'm losing out. No, you're gaining. You've got me.
Yeah. What else could you want?
No, I know. I gave you life. So yeah.
Awesome.
Cool. So I think the other thing was, what advice would you have around parenting our tamariki around this period?
Oh, Makere, I can only imagine what your whare is like, because mine is a equal mix of excitement and joy and energy and significant fatigue and exhaustion that it's the end of the year for these little people. And so, like, together, that's like a hot mess. And so just to, within your relationships, within whoever you parent with, having a kōrero so that you're both really, it's at the forefront of your thinking that, hey, they're really excited. This is a time of year where they're really excited and they're really tired. And let's just be mindful to try and have a bit of grace for that at this time of year, because actually coming down hard on them when they're exhausted is actually not that useful. So having that kōrero and how we're going to manage this excitement and this busyness and this craziness at this time of year. Because all of that stress and anxiety that we feel about the stress of Christmas, they pick it up. They're little sponges. They are sucking up all of that energy that we're putting out, and they're responding to that. That's why if you're having a really hard time, you think, oh my gosh, it's like the kids know they're really acting up and they're driving me crazy. But that's actually because we're putting it out there and they're sucking it up. So allowing lots of space and time for your kids to blob and chill. And that might be watching a Christmas movie on the couch together. That might be going to the river for a swim, or going to the beach for a swim, or going to the local pools for a swim. It might be going for a walk on the beach. Anything that engages our tamariki with nature is incredibly grounding for them. So that helps to diffuse, this energy, this busyness at this time of year. Doing activities that ground them will be really, really useful. And you'll notice that they will calm with the removal of a lot of stimulation, a lot of technology and things like that. So trying to limit as much as you can the screen time at the moment, even though I know it's tempting because there's lots of awesome Christmas things to watch, and getting outside and engaging with nature. And that connectedness that you talked about, Makere, is so important. So being with the people that they care about, that's going to really help them at this time of year. I think giving them really clear expectations. My kids, I have one who's neurodiverse, and particularly for her, and just it's for a lot of kids and their temperament, I'm talking slightly older kids, it's really useful to be able to explain to them exactly how things are going to look. So on Christmas morning, I've already started preparing my girls. So on Christmas morning, we're going to open our presents at home and have some breakfast at home and maybe have a swim. And then we're going to head over to Pop's house and do Christmas with Poppy and Linny. So, making it really, really clear so they know what to expect out of the day. I think that's really important, because whatever we do, it's going to break with their normal routine. So kids love predictability. So if we can make it really clear for them, that will be really, really useful. Connecting with relatives is so precious at this time of year, to be able to connect with those who are in our whānau. And so just making sure that whānau have really clear expectations around your tamariki too. So whether that's making sure their house is set up appropriately for the kids, or that they've got activities that are safe for the kids to do to keep them entertained and busy, and maybe outside, and that's all good. But making sure that relatives, like for example, this year for Christmas, my grandparents are still alive, which is really lucky. They're coming for Christmas, and I know that they really struggle with the noise of my girls and my sister's girls. And so what we need to make sure is that there's a space where the girls can be and be joyful and happy and Christmas filled, that's not going to be distressing to the elders. Or that the elders have got somewhere else to go where it's not going to be so stressful for them. So it's about thinking about how we can meet everybody's needs. And again, you kind of have to mentally map this stuff out. It often doesn't just happen on the day. And it's often when we get thrust into these situations and we're feeling judged or, there's disapproving looks from the grandparents saying, oh, why are the kids so loud, and, get control over them, or, that conflict and the tension happens. Yeah. So if we can just map out how that might look, okay, so they can go there and then the kids can go out and play, and I'll take something so that they can be outside and have a good time together. That will make a big difference. Traveling can be really, really hard on kids at this time of year. I think some of my worst Christmas memories are like remembering the rushing busyness of Christmas Day, getting up, and then we had to go to this person's house, and then we had to go to this person's house, and we did this, and then and it felt chaotic and stressful. And I remember picking up on the stress of my parents as well. And so I've got some really amazing friends who have just said to me, nah, I'm going to stay put with my kids and have an amazing Christmas at home. And if the whānau want to see them, then they can come to us.
Come to me, yeah.
I'm like, it's so brave. But that's okay to do that. That's totally okay, particularly in those times where Pepe and toddlers are going to struggle with a lot of travel. However, if we are going to travel, forward planning, thinking about how we can keep toddlers and older tamariki entertained during the travel, making lots, expecting that there will be a lot of stops. If you have a toilet trained child, you're going to need to stop for the toilet often. Happy mama's going to need to go to the toilet often. If you have a baby, you're going to need to stop for nappy changes, potentially for breastfeeds or for bottle feeds. Toddlers will need lots and lots of snacks. And so, again, forward planning a lot of these things so that we don't, on Christmas Day, get in the car and then go, oh my gosh, this is so awful. Like, can't you just behave? It's Christmas Day. It causes a huge amount of stress it's not helpful for the kids, and it just makes you feel bad at the end of it. Yeah. Actually, nobody wants.
We're a traveling whānau. We my son's big on wrestling, amateur wrestling, so we travel all up the North Island and all down the South Island with it. And we travel. It's cool. I love it. Yeah. So I've done the 6-hour drive from the Wairarapa up to I can't remember, it was like Hamilton and stuff like that. So maybe even longer than 6 hours, probably 8-10 hours by the time with all our kids. I have literally sat in the back rubbing my 2-year-old's feet the whole way from Rotorua to Napier because she didn't all she wanted was me to hold her. We take bowls because we have children that vomit everywhere. We take ginger mounts because we know that can help them a little bit. So yeah, definitely the planning. Bowls, baby wipes, towels,
very helpful for vomit,
hand sanitizer, a roll of toilet paper.
Change of clothes, because how often does your toddler wee through their car seat? Like lots
of snacks.
Yeah. And then some games. I remember we've talked in the past, Makere, about some of the games that your whānau play while you're traveling.
Yeah, so we play what we call car cricket. Okay. So car cricket is cars are 2 points, trucks are 6, motorbikes are 4, and you're out on a red car.
Oh, and so you go through who is in. You take turns at who is in first. Yeah, that's so cool.
Yeah, so I'm the tally, so I keep hold of everybody, and then we all take a turn, and then we all count them up at the end.
Awesome.
That's my favourite.
That sounds great, and you can do things like car karaoke. Pick a song and you can sing along with it. So obviously these are techniques for older children, but they do tend to be the ones that find travel more difficult. Often a baby will just go to sleep. But on that, being really mindful, particularly with our younger tamariki, we want to be getting them out of the car every 45 minutes to an hour, just because their airway is often compromised, whether it's in the leaning. The airway of a 6-week-old is the same size as a pen. So it's really small. So you can imagine if it's tilted to the side, there's going to be less oxygen getting in. So we're wanting to get our tamariki out of the car our little babies every 45 minutes to an hour, just to fill their lungs with good fresh oxygen, just to keep them safe on that drive.
I think I remember talking about that in one of our Facebook lives, and someone said,
Oh,
how will I know? And I was like, oh, believe me, your babies will let you know that they need to get out of the car. You
They
will
tell
know,
you.
because they will tell you. They will
Yeah.
very muchly let you know that they are ready for a stop. They're ready for something to eat. They're ready to stretch their legs.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was thinking too that this would probably be a really good thing with the mindfulness that would really come into handy with the tamariki, that kind of red brain when your mind is not really, you're letting the stress of your children get into you. So that mindfulness to kind of get you back into like a logical thinking brain, so you could think more about what, how you're going to respond to your babes.
Yeah, absolutely. And kids, there's often a bit of conflict and sibling rivalry in the back of a car, or just, in this Christmas season when stress is heightened and excitement and emotions are heightened in our tamariki. So practicing mindfulness with them, practicing mindfulness yourself, even when they're too small to teach, they will attune to you and pick up on the calming strategies that you use for mindfulness. So when I'm talking about mindfulness, it's generally around honing your focus into the present. So limiting the amount of distractions that are going on for your brain and focusing your attention onto your breath is generally, and you can do other mindful exercises where you use sound and things like that, but honing your focus into your breath. My girls, they love, so it could be the picking the daisies or the fairies, we call them, and then taking a big deep breath in through your nose, filling your lungs, and then blowing the fairy. When you do some imagery stuff with them. Or it could be, okay, we're just going to make our hot chocolate. So we've got a cup, we're going to put in our hot chocolate, and Mum's going to pour the hot water. Oh, it's really, really hot. Okay, now we're going to take a big breath in, and we're going to blow on our hot chocolates to cool them down. Oh, it's still really hot. We'll do another big deep breath. So using imagery alongside mindfulness is incredibly useful for tamariki. Hot chocolate breathing is something that my youngest really, really enjoys. And then we, she'll have to say, it's really sweet, Mum. It's too sweet. And it's fun. And kids really thrive with that sort of thing. Or bubble blowing. So imagine you're blowing a big bubble, or blowing up a balloon. So those sorts of things can be really useful. If you're feeling stressed and dysregulated, saying, hey, shall we try something? Should we try some mindfulness together so that we can help to calm ourselves down? Because what an amazing gift to be able to give your kids the ability to help their self-regulation.
Yeah, definitely. I did hypnobirthing with my 4-year-old, and that was what I remembered, the balloon breathing. And then imagine that you were breathing back into a balloon. So it's, yeah. And then when I had my son Martina, all I could remember was, because it was a horrific birth, was my husband going to me, remember your balloon breathing. And I'm like, go away and leave me alone. I can't remember balloon breathing.
Stop the balloon breathing.
Yeah, don't tell me about balloon breathing. You do this.
Yeah, absolutely. But hey, those strategies, those simple strategies that work really effectively for kids, actually will they'll go a long way for you as well. Makere, do you think we've got time to do a little mindfulness?
I think so. I think it would be really helpful. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Alrighty. So I'm going to do something called a guided meditation. Don't get me wrong. When I started mindfulness practice, I was like, this is super fruity and not for me. But the tricky thing about mindfulness is that the more that you do it, the more effective it is. And you learn, actually, this is like balm for my brain. So I'm going to walk you through a guided meditation. If you have tamariki who need you, by all means, jump off. But I would love to give this to you as my Christmas gift. So inoi tato, close your eyes. Alrighty, or just gently maintain a soft focus, gazing in front of you. Sit upright and comfortable in a stable position where you feel fully supported and your neck and your back and your head are straight. Okay, let's take a slow, deep breath just to bring yourself into the present moment and to begin this process of feeling more centered and more peaceful. Breathe into your belly so it expands as you breathe in and gets smaller as you breathe out. Now let's just take a moment to mentally scan your body for any areas where there's tightness or tension, where there's pain, and breathe your warm, oxygen-filled breath into that area. And as you breathe out, just let that tension release, breathing it out. Now notice any worries, any fear or anger or irritation, any jealousy or judgment, and just breathe into those emotions. Just noting them and allowing them to flow out as you breathe out. Another breath into any uncomfortable emotions. And breathing out, releasing them. Now, any thoughts of memories or plans or lists, anything other than being here, breathing. Just breathe into those thoughts and allowing those thoughts to flow out with the breath. Now that we're all a little bit clearer and a little bit more spacious and open, let's begin to focus on what we feel grateful for. Firstly, recall that as you listen to me today, you already have several marvelous gifts. The gift of life itself, the most precious gift, that someone gave birth to you, someone fed you as an infant, changed your nappies, clothed you, bathed you, taught you to speak and to understand. The gift of hearing so you can hear and learn, whether it's the song of a bird or the notes of a band or an orchestra, the songs of Christmas carols, your children singing and laughing, their voices, the sound of your own breath now flowing in and flowing out, the gift of your heartbeat, steady, regular, moment after moment, pumping fresh, life-giving blood to all of your organs. Now let's think about all the things we have today that make our lives easier and more comfortable than perhaps they were for our great-grandparents. We flip a switch and light appears. We turn on a tap and clean, drinkable water flows. We have heating. We can make a room grow warmer or cooler. We have a roof to keep us dry when it rains and walls to keep out the cold. We enter a vehicle and it can take us wherever we want to go. We have machines that can wash our clothes, and we have clothes to wear and places to store them. There are machines that store our food at just the right temperature and help us to cook it without having to gather wood for a fire. We have indoor plumbing. We have libraries, access to thousands of books for anyone to borrow and read. We have schools that teach us in Our Tamiki to read and write, skills that were only available to very few just a few hundred years ago. Now take a moment to reflect on all the thousands of people who have worked hard, some without even knowing you at all, to make your life easier and more pleasant. Some who plant and grow and harvest your food, some who transport that food to the market, a team of people who make the roads and railways that make it easier to transport the food, another team who maintain those vehicles, and drivers and loaders and unloaders, those who take the time to design the stores and the shelves and the packaging that keeps our food safe and allows you to find what we need. A postal service, someone who sorts the mail, others who deliver it, those who maintain our servers so that we can send emails and access the internet, those who design operations and systems for the gathering, sorting and disposing of rubbish and recycling, those who gather news stories and photos and who create the many mechanisms that we use for news to reach you, those who play sports, who create art or music or plays or poems or films to entertain and uplift you. And most of those people you have never met or barely know. Now consider the people and pets you know who enrich your life. Those who smile at you and cheer you on. Those whānau and friends, acquaintances, colleagues and peers, your ancestors who worked so hard so that you can live well. Those friends who support you when you need a shoulder or a hand. Take a moment to reflect on your own reasons for feeling grateful right now. There is so much to feel grateful for. Let gratitude fill your heart and mind and uplift your spirit. Kia ora whānau.
That was cool.
I hope that was useful. Mindfulness is incredibly powerful, incredibly useful strategy for helping manage stress. And at this time of year, be, a gift giver to yourself and do some research about how you can be looking after yourself, the things that you can do that will strengthen you and that will ground you at this crazy, joyous, beautiful time of year.
Beautiful. I think that was a perfect way to end this Facebook Live. And I think that was a very amazing gift that you have given to us tonight, Katrina. Thank you very much.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
So, was there anything else that you think can top that at the end of? Because I think that was just perfect.
Oh, yay. I'm so glad. I feel, I want people to